Let's start with the late great Norm.
Yeah, I remember doing Norm's podcast, and as always, it turned with any of my comic friends who would turn like deranged.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very funny with that. He'd always talk with like a sneer, It's like and I remember right after I put that photo up a few times. It's one of my favorite photos. Afterwards, after doing Norm's show, Norm and I joined Jeff Ross and, of course, Bob Saget.
Yeah.
And I remember that being a night of just nonstop laughs.
You could tell even from the still photo that you guys were ripping it up.
Yeah, it was just so much fun.
Truly original. I never met him. It's funny. I'm in comedy a long time, and I know a million comedians, and I've gotten to work with a million comedians, and for some reason our paths never crossed. And we wanted to get him on this show, Gil, as you know.
Yes.
And he was Norm. So he was strangely strangely hard to pin down, or non-committal, or could do it and then couldn't do it, and
I don't really know. I know I'm working.
One of the truly great comic minds, though, and his last appearance on Letterman, where he got so emotional, and in ways it sounds corny. I felt I knew him through his work, and obviously a lot of mutual friends. That Letterman appearance, really.
Gil, your appearance on his podcast, that whole podcast was so good and so funny.
Yeah, let's not diminish that, Gilbert. It made history, your appearance, and also the Einstein episode.
Yeah.
With Norm.
Yeah, I remember when I was on Norm's podcast afterwards, I just felt like I ran a marathon. It was just got crazier and crazier.
Netflix owns that show now, and they're not available to the public, unfortunately, and they're sitting on them. Hopefully one day it would be great if that podcast was re-released, because
there's that Bob Einstein episode is also legend.
Yep.
What can you say about the guy? I mean, a really rare, truly original comic voice.
Really,
and I love
such
Kurt
a
Ferguson
loss.
more than life itself.
He, by the way, Norm's book, based on a true story, not a memoir, which is so funny. Mm-hmm. The audio book, he narrates it. So if you miss Norm and you've never heard him reading his book, it's brilliant.
Now I got to get it. Yeah, I regret never meeting the man. And Gilbert, I'm glad you had such wonderful times with him.
Yes, he was a lot of fun.
It's a big loss. It's a loss for this podcast,
just like a total smartass.
Yeah, I